La la la. Check. Welcome everybody. Welcome to the stream. Welcome everybody. Today is January 12, 2023. In our lives together as the gong rings out. Could be the last gong. Is it the first gong or the last? Could be either, really. Marcus Conte reporting. Good morning, everybody. How are you, man? How are you? Whoa, welcome everybody to the stream. Today, what are we going to talk about today? Seems like a new day every day, right? Same old story, but sometimes a new day. So I think the big story right now is the Bryan Kohberger, Idaho killer trail. All right, he was a sloppy murderer. He was supposed to know everything about murder. He was studying criminal justice at the PhD level, and he was too stupid, it seems, to leave his phone behind when he was out there killing people, and using his own car, leaving his DNA behind. The big deal is, like, what was the motive? We want to know. What was Bryan Kohberger's motive? Why did he kill? Why did he kill 4 students, 3 women, 1 man, a woman and a man sleeping peacefully, lovingly together in a bed? Why was he there 12 times? What was his issue, I guess, with this? Was he just does a serial killer need a motive that we understand? Like a love triangle or some sort of hatred towards somebody? Or is it something else? Is it some other psychological kind of disorder that only, fucking mass murderers that, knife kill 4 people in their sleep? So look at that story. It is fascinating. Also, George Santos, the big Republican, gay Republican from Long Island. It turns out that it's proof that he lied about everything. New York Times released his resume that he provided to the GOP prior to his election, and it's all big fat lies. And George Santos still sitting in Congress, still an elected official. Some Republicans are calling him to step down. Still there. He's still there. So look at his resume, and we'll confirm the lies that are just stacking a mile high. And what else? Andrew Tate. What is going on with Andrew Tate? I got a little clip from Lift the Veil. Nathan, my good friend, my colleague, has been covering this extensively, and he's leaning, saying, it looks like Andrew Tate definitely was sending incriminating information over to the alleged victims about rape. He was bragging on social media. So look at that little clip. Fascinating. I don't know if a guy, suggesting that he choked some woman. Oh, we'll look at it when we get there. He suggests he choked some woman, and then the woman turns around and claims rape. That's not usually how the sequence of events work. When someone gets raped, they go to the authorities, and they whatever. But that didn't happen. And as we know, Andrew Tate is basically making his money on the back of young alpha male individuals who like that kind of thing. They don't, they think they're superior, superior over women, superior over the world, superior over their existence, I suppose. So we'll take a quick look at that. Jeff Beck dead. Jeff Beck, the great guitarist from the band the Yardbirds. To be honest, I was never really a fan, but he passed away, 74 years old. We'll look at that story. If you're a Jeff Beck fan, we'll have a look. Dead rock star story. What else we got? A little something on Jack Nicholson. I found a story about Jack Nicholson living out the final days of his life as a recluse. Now, Jack Nicholson is 85 years old, and allegedly he hasn't come out of the house in about a year. And people are saying, "Oh, it's so sad to see Jack Nicholson fade away like this." Well, maybe he knows something that you don't, and stop judging the guy. Right? He's 85 years old. Maybe he sees his immortality, and there's more than just roaming around the streets of L.A. trying to be cool or trying to get the next movie deal. He's making peace with his maker, possibly. Don't call him dementia. Don't call him Alzheimer's. Just hear him out, and stop, fucking come on, man. The guy just died. Look at Thich Nhat Hanh. Thich Nhat Hanh, a great documentary coming out soon. People at Plum Village very skillfully filmed Thich Nhat Hanh in the last 3 or 4 years of his life in Vietnam. And it's footage that no one has ever seen before. Well, the public has never seen before. And the good people at Plum Village in France have put together a documentary that's going to air, I believe, on January 21. I have arrived. I am home. The video, and spectacular, right? What was the guru? What was the high Zen master? What was he contemplating in his final days? He knows death. He spent his whole life studying the immortality and the impermanence of everything. And when faced with his own impermanence, his certain death, like perhaps Jack Nicholson is faced with, what did the guru do? How did he interact with the world? Was he still able to be peaceful and joyful knowing his own death was imminent, right around the corner, or maybe in the next breath? So fascinating documentary coming out. I'm going to watch it. I love those guys. I love Plum Village. So my name is Marcus Conte. Here he is. Bryan Kohberger, the killer. Right, back into real news. There's a guy, Thich Nhat Hanh, meditating into the final hours, final moments of his death at 95 years old, making a documentary about it. And this guy, this young man, 25 years old, out there, butchering kids on a college campus. What is the motive? Why? How could we stop it? Would even a public, if it turns out that he did what the evidence suggests that he did, should we burn him? Should we fry him publicly? Should we hang him? Should we maybe 4-quarter him like they used to do in the old days? They tie a rope around each one of your limbs and then tie the other end of the string to horses, and then scream "go!" and the horses all run in 4 different directions and rip you apart. Would that make the problem, the situation, the occurrence of this guy killing those women better? Violence. He was a violent, I don't know. I don't know what people want to see happen with this guy, but I think that's fascinating too. We know what he did, right? That's the fact. What happened is the fact. But what do we do about it? How do we address, as a human society going forward, how do you reconcile what is in this mind? Are you going to scream from the rooftops, "He's an animal, lock everybody down, don't let anyone over 25 near people under 21. Don't let men near women. Don't let women near men"? Right? What is the barrier in our own reaction? Kill him. I want to see him burn so that I want to watch the needle go into his arm in the death chamber. And I want to watch him take his last breath because he took my loved one from me. And that will make me feel good. Violence begets violence, right? it's inescapable that if he gets the chair, if Bryan Kohberger ultimately gets the chair for his crimes, the judgment is death. That is violence. It's the perpetuation of violence against other humans. That is inescapable murder. Right? You're murdering the guy, right? Because you feel justified. Because he murdered, then you must murder him. Even though he's no threat to anybody anymore. He's no threat. Bryan Kohberger is no threat. They got him in a little cage somewhere, isolated, by himself, twiddling his thumbs, right? Stuck in his head, right? Eating his meal that slides under the bars. He's no threat to anybody. Other criminals in jail, well, they fend for themselves. Is Bryan Kohberger going to kill somebody in jail? Probably not, because he's a coward. He preys on kids. There's no vulnerable kids in their sleep. So you got to ask yourself, what is the even if we find out the motive, what is the solution? What is the solution to criminal activity like this? How do you stop it? So we'll look at that story. And, I got a website. I am Marcus Conte. That is my name. Last check, it says it on my driver's license. And I have a website every morning at 9 a.m. 9 a.m. somewhere, somehow. We're live. Right now we're on YouTube. And we love YouTube. PayPal, Patreon. 2 ways that you could support this demonetized channel here on YouTube. Because there is no money. Per se. And so if you want to contribute, you can do that through PayPal, Patreon, as many people in the chat have already done. Thank you very much. Philly Camden in the house. Chris Milk, my brother from a different mother. TJ, what's up? Philly Camden down there in Philly, down there in Philadelphia. Cheeseburger in the house. Vinny DiMartini has entered the room. Vinny DiMartini in the house. Weevil Girl is here. Welcome, Jim Gerard, TJ, and everybody else. Me So Hungry, William R. Hall. Thank you all for joining me, and we'll bounce from there. Let's see. Let's start here. Okay, so it looks like Mick Jagger and Rod Stewart are heartbroken over one of the greatest guitar players who ever lived. And here he is, Jeff Beck. Jeff Beck suddenly died, 78 years old. Lived a long life, right? Lived the life of a rock star. People worshipped his hands on the. Look at that image. I talk about rock and roll. That is a rock and roll image right there. It is the young, long-haired, male. I remember when men were men. They were allowed to express themselves in such a way that they were sexually vibrant. And not accused of rape and assault, banging groupies one after another, maybe one on top of another. There he is playing his Les Paul. His Gibson Les Paul looks like a vintage Gibson Les Paul, probably from the 1960s, maybe even the 1950s, because Jeff Beck is rich. So beautiful image of Jeff Beck, rest in peace. Again, I wasn't really a big fan. I don't know, Yardbirds. I can't really. No one song comes to mind, I don't know, but he's there. He's in the same league as these guys. I mean, I would be heartbroken if it were Bruce Springsteen or, when Tom Petty died. That hurt for me. I was like, oh fuck, Tom Petty, died young, and you didn't expect that. Or Prince, one of those guys. Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. Some of the world's biggest names are paying tribute to British guitar phenomena Jeff Beck. Following his death at age 78 on Wednesday, the Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, who rose to prominence with the Yardbirds, died suddenly after contracting bacterial meningitis. His representatives stated, and everybody's coming to bat. There he is, very, very famous. He's in there. He's got Mick Jagger on his Mick Jagger hanging on his arm. Who's this guy? Jeff Beck. That's Mick Jagger singing. Play it, Jeff, and I'll sing. Here's Jeff. Here's Here he is with Rod Stewart. Who are we talking about here? We got Ron Wood of the Rolling Stones. So rip Jeff Beck. A life well lived, I would say. Jeff Beck goes out in style. Jeff Beck. He did it his way. So I like this. I'm confused about this story a little bit. Maybe you can help me understand it. So Jack Nicholson's friends fear reclusive actor will die alone. Well, don't we all die alone? At some point, you're alone. You're alone in your own death, your own immortality. Does it make it any better when there's 50 people around you, or you're out in the public eye and then you die? Or does it really matter? Aren't we all... I get the point. Oh, he's dying alone in his house. Well, knock on the door and go visit. Right? He's happy where he is. Jack Nicholson's friends have shared concerns about the actor's solitary lifestyle. Say they're worried about the end game. The three-time Academy Award winner hasn't been seen in public in over a year, as his pals claim he's living like a recluse. All right, so there's monks that live like a recluse. He was tired of people. He saw enough of it, man. He saw enough of the rat race. It was like, fuck this shit, man. I'm just gonna pull back a little bit and figure this, or enjoy the last couple of moments instead of wasting my energy driving around the streets of L.A. Banging hookers and smoking cigarettes. I'm gonna relax and who knows what he's doing? Who knows? Multiple sources. Maybe he's making a movie about being a recluse, you jackass. Don't judge him. Multiple stories told Radar Online that the 85-year-old actor doesn't leave his house anymore, and that his mind is gone. Dementia. All right, so he's locked in his house for a year. There's some of the images. We know who Jack Nicholson is. Brilliant. One of the top shelf actors in our lives. There he is in the black and white One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Here he is in Missouri Breaks with Marlon Brando, another huge actor. Marlon, there he is. Jack Nicholson, the face is inescapably him. When you see him, you think of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. You really do, And there he is, was one of his many, many wives, and was at the LA Lakers game. I was masked, all masked up. Hey, Jack, put the mask over your nose, man, so nobody gets sick, motherfucker. All right? He's trying to get everybody sick. Look, you can see his nostrils during a pandemic. Mask up. So I don't know what you think of it. Jack Nicholson. I just say don't frown on the guy. He's 85. What was he supposed to live? Everybody's supposed to live to 101. 85 years of hard living, hard living, and he recluses into his mansion to maybe finish off finish the statement. I don't know. Jack Nicholson, still a hero in my eyes. So let's talk about Andrew Tate for a second. My good friend at Lift the Veils, Nathan Stoltman, spinning the story of Andrew Tate, spinning in a good way. I don't mean that in a derogatory sense. He's Nathan talking about Andrew Tate. Let's listen to Nathan offer some evidence in this case. Let's listen. What happened? What happened? Let's go.
Okay, Andrew Tate followers.
Right.
When you get accused of rape by one of your hoes because you've been following Andrew Tate's advice, this will happen. Do not send them a WhatsApp message saying, I love raping you. Okay, we cover this at my Grifter University in the 101 classes, how not to send incriminating messages to your hoes after they accuse you of rape, which is probably what's going to happen. Okay. And like I said, this is all covered in my class. Do not leave incriminating voice messages like this one.
That's what it is. I'm the smartest person on this fucking planet. Are you seriously so offended I strangled you a little bit? You didn't fucking pass out. Chill the fuck out. Jesus Christ. I thought you were cool. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
So it's interesting. The Andrew Tate sent this woman this incriminating message after she claimed he raped her. I might have gotten that backwards in the beginning. So it looks like, according to Nathan, that this message appeared after she claimed rape. Right? And Andrew Tate is saying, well, come on, bitch, I just choked you a little bit. You know you like it. You know you like it. Come on, man. Come on, man. I guess, is it incriminating? Did rape occur? Well, we still don't know. She never went to the police. We never got a police report. We never got any evidence that there was a rape per se, skid marks or, fucking damage to the body. Right? She didn't fear he fucking raped me, right? So we don't know that for sure. But I don't know, based on the social media rhetoric, which Andrew Tate is quite comfortable with, and is really the bedrock of his success. I hate fucking women; they're all pieces of shit. Meanwhile, he's surrounded by women. So anyway, what else, Nathan? What else again?
Don't leave messages like that.
Okay, so we won't leave messages like that. Well, I don't know. It's the jury is still out on the Andrew Tate situation. I've extended my olive branch to Nathan over at Lift the Veil to have a discussion. Him and I. Let's talk about it. Let's see. Let's explore the possibilities. And it looks like it's going to happen. Outlandish George Santos resume touts a 3.89 GPA and doubling revenue at Goldman Sachs. So here he is, George Santos. Looks like he's pretty comfortable sitting in the halls of Congress. He's sitting there in his chair at the House of Representatives, where an election that he lied about everything is now obvious. And he's not backing down, man. No. So you don't understand how politics works. It's about getting power and staying in power. There's no retreat, man. Don't you know who we are? We don't retreat. We move forward, even though my resume shows that I'm a complete and utter total fucking liar. So let's look. We have the resume. A resume submitted by disgraced Representative George Santos, Republican from New York, Nassau County, it's Long Island, Republican committee in 2020. So he submits his resume in 2020, includes outlandish and since debunked boasts related to his education and job history. The resume obtained by the New York Times was submitted to the Nassau County GOP by Santos when he first expressed interest in running for the House. So here's his resume. Got it. Boom, bang. Up on the screen is George Santos's resume. Would you hire this guy for your congressman? So he says that of the lies was that he made. He alleges that he was grossing about $50,000 a year somehow, right? But in his resume, he says he showed 24 times growth at his Linkbridge Investors firm. Right? He took the money from $450,000 up to $11 million in sales. There's no evidence of that. That's a total fucking lie. He claims that, here it is, right here, Goldman Sachs. He says he worked from January 2017 to August 2017 for Goldman Sachs. Claims that he doubled the revenue from $300 million to $600 million. Now, that is, first of all, nobody really works for Goldman Sachs for 8 months. Goldman Sachs is a lifelong commitment. You start young and you keep going. Right, basically, and if he had doubled the income at Goldman Sachs, you are a rock star. He would have never gotten out the door. He would have, if you make $300 million for Goldman Sachs, they're gonna give you half of that. They're gonna say, good job, keep half of it, and make us another 300 million. That's how Goldman Sachs works. It is in trading. If you make $1 million, half of that is yours. So it's unbelievable. First of all, anybody with any common sense reading this resume about Goldman Sachs would say, wait a second, you work for one of the most prestigious Wall Street firms, the most cutthroat, aggressive, financially successful firm probably in the world, Goldman Sachs, and you turned revenue from 300 million to 600 million, and they let you go? You walked out the door to do what? Where did he go next? So what was his next stop? Oh, yeah, I'm going to do my own business. I'm going to do my own shit. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're going, you never worked there, and you didn't make the money, and you told a big lie. But why didn't any Republicans in Nassau County catch it? Didn't they? They didn't do any due diligence. It makes them look really bad. Nobody checked. Nobody flipped open the fucking, the truth file, if you will. So he claims that from February 2011 to 2020 to 2014, he was the asset manager at Citigroup. Never worked there. Was never there. Never stepped foot in Citigroup in any capacity. Here he says, I got 3 years experience. Hire me. Now, the other unbelievable part of that is if he did work at Citigroup, right, before he worked at Goldman Sachs, he would have, first of all, Goldman Sachs would have never missed that. You worked at Citigroup, and they would do a deep dive to find out if you're lying. If you're lying, they will take you and your chair and maybe the whole room and put it out on the street and say, "Thanks for stopping by. We don't work with people like you." So another lie, Citigroup. Let's talk about education. Now, this is probably the most obvious one for the GOP in Long Island. How they didn't catch it. You could check anybody's educational background by just calling the school. You could call NYU. He says he's got an MBA from international business. He got a GMAT score of 710. All lies. Never went to NYU. Probably doesn't even know where it is. So he went to NYU and got an MBA, Masters of Business. Did the GOP check it? Did anybody do due diligence on this? I mean, yeah, he's a lying, cheating, stealing little scum, but you didn't flip the fucking resume open and check it. Let's find out. Baruch College, CUNY, City University of New York. He's got a bachelor's degree in economics and finance with a 3.89 GPA, almost straight A's. Didn't happen. Summa cum laude. Didn't happen. Ranked in the top 1% of his class. So total fabrication. According to his resume. And still in office. He's still there. Can't get rid of this guy, Goldman Sachs. I don't know. Fucking George Santos, right? This is precedence. You can't let this guy slide, in my view. You can't let him slide. You got a GOP. Put your hands in your pocket, grab hold of your package, right, the men, and get rid of this guy. All right, what's he going to do? Oh, they're getting rid of me because I'm homophobic. I'm a homosexual. They don't like me because I'm gay and I'm young and I'm Latino and my parents are from fucking Israel and I'm not a Jew. He also lied about that. I'm a Jew, which turned out to be total fabrication as well. I was surprised he didn't put that on his resume. I'm a Jew. I'm a New York Jew. That flies. I don't know if you can do that, but anyway, there he is, George Santos' resume. So let's talk about the murderer, Bryan Kohberger, Idaho murderer. All the amateur mistakes which led cops to arrest Bryan Kohberger. All right, so lots of mistakes. We thought he was a very sophisticated, possible serial killer. But it turns out the FBI was on his trail the whole time. In fact, when he left the great state of Idaho to go back to mommy and daddy's house in Pennsylvania, it turns out there were 2 stops along the way. It looks like the police or the FBI, whoever, law enforcement stopped him twice, and they were trying to get a look at him to see. Most murderers after such an event like that would have scars on their hands. There would be maybe a black eye, maybe one of the victims in their last breath, hit him with a chair or something. You don't know, right? So they were looking. They were having a look at him, but they didn't treat him they treated him as a suspect, a secret suspect at that moment, and so they were on him. But let's look at what the mastermind, 28-year-old suspect, did wrong in the murder. Right? He should have known better. Right? You can go out and murder people. The Idaho student slayings baffled America, and at first appeared to be the perfect crime, with cops seemingly chasing their tails and families of the 4 victims voicing their frustration. Bryan Kohberger, PhD student in criminal justice, stabbed the 4 people to death. 3 young women, 1 young man. Kohberger is in jail. Let's look at the evidence. Now, this is the evidence according to law enforcement. Let's take it as true thus far. And we'll see. According to an arrest affidavit released on January 9, Kohberger's many mistakes began months before the killings when he failed to turn his cell phone off while allegedly stalking the victims on King Road home. So what's the moral of the story? If you're going to kill somebody, leave the phone home. Your phone is a GPS, man. Don't you know that? That every step you take is documented in your phone? You ping all along the way. Ping, ping, ping. Totally unequivocally traceable. How come he didn't know that? Criminal justice, PhD, didn't know that to leave the phone home? You're out there stalking people and preparing to kill them. Maybe he wasn't prepared to kill them. Maybe he looked at a lot of people and he was like, well, this one looks like something that I can take care of, right? And then he went back and he did it. All right, but data from Kohberger's mobile records suggests that he visited the area on at least 12 occasions prior to November 13, 2020. Now, that's damning right there. That is damning evidence. Why were you at the scene of the murder that you are accused of 12 times? Why were you there? Right? All of these occasions, except for one, occurred in the late evening and early morning hours of their respective days. I would like to see some how long was he in the area? Was he in the house? Was his phone pinging from inside the house? Because if it was, then we know that Kohberger knew the victims, or at least one of them. Was Kohberger attracted to one of the women? Was he friends or attracted to the man who was a Sigma Chi brother? Right? Or I guess he was a Sigma Chi brother. We don't know that. But he was at the kid who got killed was at Sigma Chi fraternity a few hours before the murder. He came home from Sigma Chi. So what is you want to know what the connection is, and maybe the phone data tells us how long was he did he ever step foot in the house? Was he ever inside the house? All right, that's what I want to know. He was obviously surveilling the victims, all right, making the murders look pretty premeditative. I would say that's indisputable at this time. If it turns out that he did it, it is premeditative, meaning that he planned it. It's murder one. He had the intention, and he executed the crime thinking he can get away from it. He fled the scene. Premeditative murder, no doubt. Just like the premeditative murder that's going to be imposed on him if he's guilty. Premeditative murder. You are sentenced to death, and you will get the lethal injection, even if we have to strap you to the gurney and stick it in your arm. All right? So, premeditative murderer, all right, awaiting his own murder, being murdered. He was obviously surveilling the number of times Kohberger supposedly casted the would-be crime scene, The number of times Kohberger supposedly cased the would-be crime scene is also helpful information for profilers studying the case. Yeah, the number of times, but also the length of time. How long was he there? Did he just do a drive-by? You know, did he stop the car and look? Where else did he pass? People pass shit all the time. You know, you're driving around, you're doing a joyride. Maybe it could be that, you know, it could be that he was driving to the grocery store. And the murder scene was on the way to the grocery store. Did he stop the car? Did he get out of the car? Right? You got the ping evidence, right? You got to look more closely at the ping evidence to confirm that what was the motive, right? It looks like it's premeditated, but still, just the pinging phone isn't enough. How long was it pinging in that area? Was it pinging from inside the house? He was most likely thinking the crime through, visualizing the best entry method and fastest method of escape. Well, it's most likely until we know as much as the FBI knows about the ping. So, amateur mistakes. Despite the meticulous planning, Kohberger's arrest records claim he left an essential piece of evidence behind. The tan leather knife sheath at the scene where the police discovered it near the body of Madison Mogan. That's pretty damaging, but where's the knife? How do we know that the sheath was his? Well, they say that there's DNA all over it. All right, that's the evidence. He made an amateur mistake. I would agree with that. If it is his knife sheath and he dropped it, that's a tremendous amateur mistake. You know, for this, you go in the cold of night with nothing, no wallet, no phone, nothing metallic, right? Black, dressed in black, put a hood on, right? Don't speak, don't say anything, right? If you see cameras, you're already covered. Right? He didn't know to do any of that stuff, right? Instead, he had his phone in his pocket. He dropped the knife blade. He dropped the fucking knife case. He wasn't. So Kohberger may have panicked. That's what I was about to say. He may have panicked, and may have been in a state of arousal of some type during the murder. Arousal? Well, maybe, I don't know. Are murderers aroused by their killing, or he dropped the knife cover because he wasn't expecting maybe the reaction, the scream of the victim. Let's look at some pictures. FBI pulling out evidence. Looks like a bed. Let's go this way. A chair. They got a chair. They got his stack of gadgets in his box. So his phone cell data. There's the bed. They got his bed. I don't know what that's useful for, but Idaho State Lab identified male DNA on the sheath button clasp, which was later linked to Kohberger after investigators retrieved genetic material from the trash outside his family home. So that's where they got the DNA from. They got it out of the garbage pail. FBI's slick. They stopped him in the car twice on the way to Pennsylvania. When he got into his home and mom's house, they went into the garbage. All right? They pretend to be, garbage man. Yeah, we're picking up the garbage. All right? And it's that they're gathering evidence. They got the evidence. So that's slick. That's pretty slick. Don't ever believe that they're the garbage men are the garbage men, man. They're stealing your DNA, man. So Yatsmar believes the police are also aware of additional DNA evidence around the bodies, on the bodies, down the hall, on the carpeting. So if they have DNA in the house, that's pretty damning, And they got his DNA from the garbage pail. That was unclear up to now. It was, or at least it was for me. They got the DNA out of the. There's nothing here that suggests a motive so far, other than a really demented individual who may have been aroused while he was killing these people. Right? Showed no signs of remorse. He circled back to the ceremony for the dead victims. Right? The vigil. He was there, visualizing. Right? It turns out that he also circled back to the house, according to the phone record. So he wasn't, there's no remorse here. Sketchy whereabouts. While initial reports indicated that the stabbing occurred 3 a.m., authorities now narrowed it down to about 4 to 4:30 a.m. 2 other housemates ran like hell and were unharmed. That's crazy too, right? There was 6 people in the house. He killed 4 of them, and the other 2 took off. A man, Dylan Mortensen, and Bethina Funky. So there were 2 other. There's another man in there. So now the head count is 2 males, 4 female. Right, and 1 female and 1 male got the hell out of there before the killing. Mortensen, one of the girls that Dylan Mortensen, the dude, saw an unnamed male leaving the house around 4:17. So there's an ID. The one of the almost victims IDs him leaving the house. So we're just stacking the evidence against him right now, poking holes, seeing if there's any holes in the story thus far. Cell data indicates that Kohberger turned his phone off during the murder's time frame, but records show that his phone pinged in Pullman, where he lived. All right, so he around 2 a.m. then went silent. All right, so the phone pinged in Pullman, where he lived, studying at Washington State University around 2:47 a.m. Then went silent until 4:48, just 18 minutes after police believed the murders took place. So he's aware that the phone is a problem. He shuts the phone off, making it untraceable. If a phone is off, you could still have the phone on you. Right? According to my friend at the NYPD, a captain, I certainly am not going to say his name, but a captain, even higher, he's actually higher than a captain. He's more of an investigative captain in the NYPD, told me that we can't trace a phone if it's off. Can't trace it, it's off. Right? It's not sending any signal. So he knew that, but he didn't know enough to not have it with him when he was casing the joint. So he shuts his phone off, confirmed, does the murder. 18 minutes after the murder, he clicks his phone back on. Moral of the story could be, we're all addicted to phones, man. The guy couldn't even leave his phone. Who's calling you? Why are you so important that you have to turn your phone back on at 4:48 a.m. in the morning? We're not that important. Why did he do it? Because he's addicted to the phone. Leave the phone. Leave the phone alone. Kohberger's phone placed him on the highway just south of Moscow before 5 a.m., heading west to Pullman. He was pinged going north toward his apartment at 5:30 a.m. All right. So agents are going to scrutinize his cell phone record. Wonderful. Wonderful. Devil's handiwork. In a particularly chilling move, cell phone records also show that Kohberger left his phone on when he left his Pullman apartment around 9 a.m. and traveled back to Moscow. So there he was, pinging all the way back home to Pennsylvania. All right. to apartment. No. Moscow, I don't know what that means. But the phone was on. The phone was on. Shortly thereafter, between 9:12 and 9:21, his device pinged in the area. What other evidence? Sorry, so that's the pinging phone. After the murders were reported shortly before noon, one of the earliest clues in the investigation was surveillance footage of a white Hyundai Elantra circling King Road neighborhood beginning around 3:29 a.m. So he was circling the joint. He was circling around. He waited for his victims. They're out there drinking and whoring and boozing and smoking over there at Sigma Chi, maybe. So he's out there. Very damning. Very damning. I don't think that if what's being presented is real and truthful, this is the guy. He clearly did it, but there's no motive, right? There's no trace of motive outside of just some psychopath. Does he need a motive? Does a psychopathic killer need a motive to kill? Because if he doesn't, that's a scary idea. That there's not even a motive, right? Nothing pissed him off. He just was aroused, right? Kill him, right? You got to burn a guy like this. You got to kill him because he killed, and he's aroused by it. So there's DNA all over the place. Smoking gun. Even after the Elantra emerged as a focal point in the investigation, Kohberger failed to ditch the vehicle. Just a total amateur killer. You have a car that you do that is reserved for this, or walk, jerk off. I'm not supporting the murder. I'm just saying, like, in the mind of the murderer, he could have just walked there. He could have turned the phone off. He could have walked there. He could have took a bicycle. He could have, a million ways to do it, right? But he chose to drive his own car with his own cell phone in his pocket. He dropped the knife sheath, drove back home, turned the phone on, continued to have the phone, went to the vigil, was caught in a photo at the vigil, which isn't really a big deal. Many people were at the vigil. The vigil. Anyway, that's all we got. Here, what else? Really creepy Facebook. So there's DNA on the knife. This is the alleged, what the knife looks like. A U.S. Marine Corps kind of issued. You could buy these on eBay. I highly doubt that it's a Marine issue weapon, but it's what they use. It's a replica of what the Marines get handed. So that's the knife. There it is. Feast your eyes on the knivery that went into the people. What else? So there you go, man. So that's the evidence so far in the case. Still no motive. Still nothing that says why he did it, and we'll keep following that story. Mark Scotty reporting. Let's look at the markets. Ding, 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 ding. We're open. Uh-oh, what's going on Wall Street? Why are we red? Stop the music. Turn the bell off. Uh-oh, we're going down. Consumer prices fell 0.1% in December as inflation cools for sixth straight month. Consumer prices fall. CPI print of 6.5 year-over-year inflation increase capped the historical year of price jumps. Inflation cools? That doesn't make sense. If inflation cools, the market should be going the other way. So that's a bullshit story. It's not true. There's no lines that lead anyway. So what do we got? Dow Jones Industrial Average down 147, Nasdaq down 112, S&P 500 down 27, and everything is red. There's my screen. Everything red except Bitcoin. And Raytheon up 16 cents at this moment. Moderna down $6 a share. Apple down. Google down. Amazon down. Microsoft down. Meta down. Rivian down 37 cents. Still a buy right here at 1671. Accumulate. Tesla down $5. Tesla, come on, Elon, get off your ass, man. Make a new car that people like. Make a watch. Elon Musk threatened big tech and said, I don't need your phones or your apps. I'll make my own. Ooh, that's what Elon Musk should do. Make your own phone. You don't need a fucking Google phone. You don't need an Apple phone. Make your own phone. Like the fucking Musk, man. The musket. There you go. I just gave you the name, the musket. So markets are down today. And thank you all for joining me. My name is Marcus Conte. Reporting. Oh, man. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day, man. Great day. Crazy world we live in, right? You know, shit is nuts, right? There are people killings happening everywhere. Fucking. Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. I love you. Please. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. Thank you, Vinny D. Martini in the chat for the wrench. Vanderloo, Cheeseburger, TJ, good morning, Josephine, Roy, David Brown. Everybody else is here. Thank you so much for joining me. Boom, ba-boom, ba-boom.